Let's start here. So U.S. Central Command says that U.S. forces are maintaining their naval superiority in the Middle East. Commander Admiral Brad Cooper posting in part. In less than 36 hours since the blockade was implemented, U.S. forces have completely halted economic trade going in and out. And the numbers spell out the impact, with estimates that the blockade could cost the regime $435 million every day.
So meanwhile, President Trump laying out why Operation Epic Fury started in the first place, sitting down with Maria Bartiromo at the White House.
I had to divert, because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. But we'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
And Matt Finn is live in Dubai. And of course, the Gulf region has some thoughts as well, Matt.
Yeah, they certainly do, Dana, and it's the third day of the American blockade here on the Persian Gulf behind me. So far, no reports of any major incidents, but on the topic of the two-week ceasefire that we're in the midst of, a short while ago, a senior U.S. official telling Fox News that the United States has not formally agreed to an extension of the ceasefire. There is continued engagement between the U.S. and Iran to reach a deal. Now, a short while ago, also, the BBC reported that the Iranian military is threatening to block shipping in the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Oman if the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports continues. The U.S. says it's not allowing any ships in or out of Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz, but it is allowing other ships to use the strait. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper writing in full, a blockade of Iranian ports has been fully implemented as U.S. forces maintain maritime superiority in the Middle East. An estimated 90% of Iran's economy is fueled by international trade by sea. In less than 36 hours since the blockade was implemented, U.S. forces have completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran by sea. Now, Kepler reports that yesterday 3 vessels passed through the Strait of Hormuz, and Fox confirms a 4th ship, a Chinese vessel carrying oil and chemicals, passed as well. Now, President Trump posted the truth within the past hour. China is very happy that I am permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz. I am doing it for them also and the world. This situation will never happen again. They have agreed not to send weapons to Iran. President Xi will give me a big fat hug when I get there in a few weeks. We are working together smartly and very well. Doesn't that beat fighting? Now, here in the Persian Gulf, Saudi Arabia is pressuring the United States to drop the naval blockade, fearing it could cause the situation with Iran to escalate or further disrupt shipping routes. That's according to a Wall Street Journal report. Now, the UAE, the country that we're in, they have been very vocal about doubling down with their relationship with the United States, and said they would even stand by the United States if force is used out on the Persian Gulf. Dana, Bill.
Matt Finn, thank you so much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.